from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, here we are, folks. Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. Good morning to everyone tuning in to the show this morning. James Azar, your loyal host. We've got a busy show today, but before we do that, we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So good morning to everyone tuning in and joining us this lovely Hump Day Wednesday morning. Good morning to Matt Lee, who's joining us this morning, and everyone else who's coming in and tuning in as we get this day started. It's Hump Day, it's Wednesday, a lot of things to go on. If you have not subscribed and followed the CyberHub podcast, please make sure to do so right now by going to your favorite podcast listening platform, CyberHub Podcast, and hit subscribe. You'll get all of our content there as well in audio format. Good Wednesday morning to the awesome James McQuiggan. Thank you so much for tuning in, sir. We've got a lot of things to talk about on today's show. Some really interesting stories. One from an underground market for initial access brokers, the Avaddon Ransomware gang, and what it brings out there. The AmeriGas 8-second data breach. A privacy matter for Facebook that's bound to bring some reckoning on the continent of Europe. And a malware attack on South Korea that's just the beginning of a larger global scale attack. Top of the morning to David Hurley. Top of the morning to LinkedIn user, and I need to pull that up and see who that LinkedIn user is, folks. So I will do that as we get this going right here. Let's take a look at who's joining us. This is Pedro. So good morning to Pedro. Thank you for tuning in, Pedro. Let's get right into today's show. But before we do that, we got to do our ceremonial coffee sip. It's baseball season, and a while back I'm not a Cubs fan, but I got this Clear Mugs cup when I was in Chicago a few years ago. I really enjoy it. It's a very, very good heat absorbing mug, and I can enjoy my espresso for a little bit more than 8 minutes, which is critical. This morning I'm drinking a very good espresso, also from Aroma. Nathan Greenspan says, good morning. Aroma is Israel's version of Starbucks. They sell these capsules, by the way. They're awesome. You know, tomorrow I'll have Yella on from KnowBe4. He'll be joining me for the Practitioner brief. So I'll show it with Yella, but you can actually see the coffee packed in the capsule. It's really, really cool. But this is their strong version of coffee because I need it this morning. Whatever it is that you drink every morning, make it yours, own it. All right, let's get right into this story from ThreadPost, where a booming cyber underground market for initial access brokers is on the rise. It's well known that email is often the gateway for cyber criminals looking to infiltrate a corporate network, but rather than do the heavy lifting themselves, ransomware gangs are now buying their way onto networks, partnering with other criminal groups that have already paved the way for entry with first-stage malware and according to researchers. Researchers from Proofpoint also uncovered a lucrative criminal ecosystem that works together in amount successful ransomware attacks like the ones that have made headline, aka Colonial Pipeline, JBS, and many, many more. Before the ultimate ransomware payload hits the network, known ransomware gangs like Ryak, Egregor, and Revel first team up with threat actors who specialize in initial infection using various forms of malware like TrickBot, Basiloader, and Iced ID. According to the report, ransomware operators often buy access from independent cybercriminal groups who infiltrate major targets and then sell access to the ransomware actor for a slice of the ill-gotten gains, folks. Specifically, Proofpoint tracked at least 10 threat actors who use malicious email campaigns to distribute first-stage loaders via various tactics that ransomware groups then take advantage of that to deliver the ultimate payload. The relationship between the threat actors and ransomware groups is not one-to-one. However, researchers found that many go back if business is good and you help me out, then by all means, why not do it? Moreover, banking Trojans like TrickBot and Imitat seem to be the preferred initial method for choice for these access brokers to establish backdoors using malicious email links and attachments, with about 20% of the malware seen in the first half of 2021 infiltrating networks this way. This goes back to my buddy James McQuiggan. We always talk about awareness, and we're always talking about phishing and all that stuff, and some of that has some validity and some merit. At the same time, you're seeing the communication in the dark web and between threat actors. I wish we did the same here amongst ourselves. I always say that on the show. We need more transparency. We need more communication. That's absolutely the case. But what we're seeing here with the research from Proofpoint is just how well these guys work together, and everyone understands their role, and they're a well-polished, oiled team that is decentralized but still works together. You're seeing a lot of different reports here from Proofpoint, and I'll allow you to go in. All the links are available on the show notes, on YouTube, on if you're watching us on LinkedIn, which a lot of you guys are, right in the show notes. If you just open the description, you'll see all 5 links to all 5 stories. You can click them, read them, take a look at them. They're available right there. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, just scroll right down to the show notes. You'll see all the links there. This is, to me, a very important story, simply because this, again, is a wonderful talking point to the executive leadership to win over more budgets and more help across the enterprise to get more security funding and more security awareness among the business. When they see the sophistication of the threat actors, this is very easy to understand. The report is very effective, and it helps get that done. We'll move to another one where the Avaddon Ransomware exit shed lights on the victim landscape. A new report that analyzes the recently released Avaddon Ransomware decryption keys to shed light on the types of victims targeted by threat actors and potential revenue they generated throughout their operation. So on June 11th, Avaddon Ransomware gang decided to shut down their operation. As part of the shutdown, the gang anonymously shared their victim decryption keys with Bleeping Computer. Using these keys, Emissisoft created a decryptor that allows victims to recover their files for free. The decryption keys were released as a 2-text file, where each victim contained a numeric ID and 2 base 64 encoded cryptographic keys that could decrypt a victim's files. For many of the keys, the ransomware gangs also included an identifier of some sort that could be a window domain, the logged-in username, or some other identifier there as well. But if you take a look at their target, you'll see that this was predominantly Russian-based. There were no known victims in Russia or any of the CIS countries. This was predominantly China, Asia, Australia, some parts of Africa, South America, and the US and Northern America. There's a kind of by industry, if you take a look at who they really targeted, with retail accounting for 12.5% of who they targeted. And they looked at victim revenue. And I think the one thing I took away from this is the 5x5 rule that Avaddon called it, which is when they launched a ransomware attack, they asked for 5% of the annual revenue to start negotiation. And so that's where they kind of started looking at this. So for a company with a total revenue of 7 million that asked for 70,000 USD, and then they would try to get $50,000 in order for it to be a successful operation. Advanced Intel believes that Avaddon's total earnings are in the approximate area of $87 million. Talk about retiring at point there. So very, very interesting story, and also kind of helping you understand how they come about with asking for ransom, where it's not just random. They're looking at your company revenue, and that's where they're generating it. Or in some cases, they know your insurance policy and ask you for exactly what your insurance policy covers. Great comment here by Matt. At least they had some key performance indicators. Yep, they definitely have KPIs. We don't. We don't have a standard KPI in security, but these guys sure do. In another story, the largest U.S. propane distributor discloses an 8-second data breach that exposed 123 records of employees at AmeriGas. This was a supply chain attack that originated at a vendor responsible for providing DOT compliance services to AmeriGas. That vendor is J.J. Keller. The services include AmeriGas with conducting driving record, drug and alcohol testing for drivers, and other DOT. This was a phishing attack. I'm waiting to see James McQuiggan just sit back in his chair and go, his comment from earlier will resonate. That's why I'm pulling it up right now. I was waiting for this story to come up. Talk about phishing. Yes, we do. Hashtag job security. Absolutely. According to J&J Keller, they notified Amerigas that the 8-second breach exposed records of 123 Amerigas employees present in files viewable to the attacker. It's the second incident this year for Amerigas, with the first one being in March 2021, where a customer service agent was fired for trying to misuse customer credit card information. So keep that in mind. Facebook's problems continue to increase, and now the GDPR. Now, I'll be honest, I've always said this, GDPR, more of a money grab than a privacy rule. It has some privacy for the citizen, but really it's a money grab. Well, lo and behold, the European Union Court of Justice ruled that under certain conditions, a national watchdog has the power to take a company to court over a GDPR violation, even if it's not the lead regulator, meaning in the 27 EU member nations, if Facebook, for example, is based in Dublin, Ireland, so the Ireland Data Protection Commission is who can investigate and who's the lead regulator in all cases against Facebook. Now it's been ruled that under certain conditions, the French can take Facebook to court, the Germans, the Belgium, the Netherlands, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and the list goes on. The court decision brings to an end a lengthy legal battle between Facebook and Belgium's Data Protection Authority over jurisdiction for the case, which centered on the social network's use of cookies to track behavior of internet users, even those who weren't account holders. The company had argued that the Belgium watchdog no longer had jurisdiction after GDPR took effect in 2018. Facebook pointed it as a victory, noting that under the ruling, the Irish regulator would remain in the lead except in limited circumstances. Although I have a gut feeling that this is going to resonate across all of Europe, and you're going to see what that is shortly. So GDPR, remember this, government money grab by the EU, and it's just going to get worse before it gets better. And our final story for today as we wrap up the practitioner brief, but before we do that, if you have not signed up for the webinar on tomorrow on the 17th with TiVo Networks with Carolyn and Joseph, you really, really should. We're going to be talking about securing the Active Directory and Azure Active Directory, a technical conversation, folks, not a theoretical one. So I encourage you to register. Links is in the show notes. Please make sure to do so now. A malware campaign targeting South Korean entities that came to light earlier this year has been attributed to, guess who? North Korea, and a group in North Korea called Andariel, once again indicating that the Lazarus attackers are following the trends and their arsenal is in constant development. This is a report published by Kaspersky in a deep dive report that they put out on Tuesday, designated as part of the Lazarus constellation. And Andariel is known for unleashing attacks on South Korean organizations and businesses using specifically tailored method created for maximum effectivity. In September of 2019, the subgroup, along with Lazarus and Blunerov, was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury for their malicious cyber activity on critical infrastructure. These guys have believed to have been active from 2016. However, in April of 2021, a novel infection chain that distributed phishing email weaponized with a macro embedded in a Word file that's executed upon opening in order to deploy malicious code concealed in the form of a bitmap image file to drop a remote access Trojan on a targeted system. According to the latest analysis, the threat actor, besides installing a backdoor, is also said to have delivered file encryption ransomware to one of its victims, implying a financial motive to the attacks. It's worth noting that Andariel has a track record of attempting to steal bank card information by hacking into ATMs to withdraw cash or sell customer information on the black market. While the ransomware is designed to encrypt files, all files in the machine with the exception of system critical ones, this is predominantly a group that is trying to still keep money flowing into the regime in North Korea. And Matt asks, did anyone see the compromise of a nuclear weapons contractor? Yes, Matt, I talked about it on Monday. You should go and check it out. Significant compromise as well. It was also attributed to China, FYI. And Nathan talks about, yeah, I saw it last night. Significant, folks. That's it for our practitioner brief today. A lot of things going on. And Kevin, I missed you, buddy. I am sorry. BRCC coffee for me. Love it. Black Rifle Coffee Company, for those who don't know what BRCC is. I can't wait for Black Rifle to actually make capsules for espresso. I've made my own, like I've bought in the Black Rifle coffee, and I've tried to do it on my own capsules. It's not an espresso blend, so it doesn't really work. You got to get an espresso blend to make it an espresso. Otherwise, it's either very, very bitter because it's very, very strong coffee, or it's very, very light and chocolatey, and that's just not good. So that's it for us here, folks. I'll be back with a lot more tomorrow. Shout out to our sponsors, KnowBeforeWistic and the TiVo Networks, for their support. Make sure to tune in to the webinar tomorrow. It is going to be a great one. I know that we're all sick and ready to be in person. I get it. But please make sure to sign up and tune in to the webinar tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Until then, folks, this is James Azar signing off. Wishing you a great rest of your day. It's hump day. Tomorrow, Yella from KnowBefore will be joining me for the practitioner brief, so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome. Have a great, and tonight, Techtown Square. Oh, how did I forget that? Techtown Square tonight, me and Eddie, 8 p.m. right here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. At 9 p.m., we're moving to Clubhouse. At 9 p.m. when the show's over, we're moving to Clubhouse. Part of that is because we always bring people live on camera and all that good stuff, but we're trying to do something a little different. So we're going to run the show as usual right here, and then at 9 p.m. we're going to do an after show on Clubhouse. Go check it out. Go to the CISO Talk Club on Clubhouse, and you'll see the scheduled episode. Make sure to tune in there. 8 p.m. tonight, the Techtown Square, we're going to be talking about OSs. India, China, and Russia are all building their own OS. We'll see what that means for all of us. Till then, guys, have a great rest of your day, gang, and see you tomorrow. Cheers.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.